How well are we prepared or unprepared for a major disaster? We start with cyber attacks and the damage they can cause, especially in the Silicon Valley. Chief investigative reporter Tony Kovaleski is with us now. And Tony, this is far beyond the recent hacks on Target and Home Depot, much more than just our credit cards here.
Exactly, Raj. It's a concern that hits home here in Silicon Valley and echoes around the globe. We're talking about threats to our transportation centers, our nuclear and electric power supplies, and our chemical plants and water supplies. They're all controlled by computers, all at risk to attacks from anywhere on the globe.
Hackers broke into the computers at Sony Entertainment.
The concern over cybersecurity has made headlines.
No foreign nation, no hacker should be able to shut down our networks.
And it's made its way into this year's State of the Union address.
So we're making sure our government integrates intelligence to combat cyber threats.
Threats that have moved beyond identity theft movies and memos to the ability to hack into computer systems that control our vital infrastructure. You're looking at a 2007 game-changing government test. Video provided to CNN by the government. The Department of Homeland Security used keyboards and computers as weapons. It caused this generator inside an electric power plant to self-destruct.
It ultimately proved and demonstrated on video that you can destroy physical equipment with a cyber attack.
When Perry Peterson worked for the Department of Homeland Security, he helped design what is now known as Project Aurora. His resume also includes time at the Department of Defense and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. He's an expert on cybersecurity and the risks to our country's critical infrastructure.
It's those systems that if we lose them, it's going to have a serious impact on our way of life.
And that's part of why many question the government's recent decision to release these documents.
What that did is it now put all of that information in the hands of the bad guys who never had it.
Joe Weiss specializes in control system security. His concern centers on what he and others believe is a mistake by the government to release details of the Aurora project. Nearly 1,000 pages of previously classified documents, including potential targets here in the Bay Area.
This is a roadmap for a bad guy, and this is what DHS put out.
Our investigation is drawing attention to the government's decision and intentionally not including specific details in those documents. DHS has defended the decision in an email saying, quote, "The documents were reviewed for sensitive and classified information prior to their release to ensure that critical infrastructure security would not be compromised."
And one of them even had a picture to show where you would go to the substation in order to destroy the equipment. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee.
Weiss has testified on Capitol Hill about his tracking of a growing number of cyber events targeting critical infrastructure overseas and on U.S. soil.
I've been able to document almost 400 actual incidents.
And while most of the recent headlines in the United States have focused on the successful cyber breach of Sony, experts point to serious concerns from two other incidents just in December. Hackers successfully accessed computer systems at a nuclear power plant in Korea and a steel mill in Germany.
Some people worry about we're on the brink of a cyber arms race, and I would say no, we're not on the brink of it. We're in the thick of it. We're in it.
The successful cyber attacks of Sony, Target, and Home Depot have certainly resonated with lawmakers here in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill. But so far, significant change to cybersecurity has run into a bit of a government roadblock, with lawmakers struggling to understand how much change private industry and the American people are willing to accept.
Has government done enough?
No.
You answered that fast.
Yes, because they haven't.
This lends itself to this kind of environment where we're all waiting for something to happen, and then we'll get serious.
This is a matter that we should be very concerned about.
Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren represents Silicon Valley and the South Bay and was a founding member of the House Homeland Security Committee.
Technology moves faster than and legislation.
Most recently, a bill by California Senator Dianne Feinstein stalled on Capitol Hill. It was designed to improve the detection of cyber attacks and to slow the work of hackers. But pressure for government change continues to grow on Capitol Hill.
There's a lot of things the private sector should do without the government, but since they're not, we're going to have to put some requirements into law to move them along.
But wanting and producing change don't always intersect in Washington, D.C. Back in 1998, President Clinton issued a directive warning of the dangers of potential cyber attacks. And then 15 years later, in 2013, President Obama issued another presidential directive calling for stronger cybersecurity to protect the country's infrastructure. And now, 2 years later, Washington continues to struggle to identify solutions and reach a consensus on how to handle hackers and improve cybersecurity.
If we don't act, we'll leave our nation and our economy vulnerable.
Sony, in the grand scheme of things, didn't affect anybody's physical well-being. What we're talking about affects people's physical well-being. And there are countries that want to do this.
The bad guys are getting much more sophisticated, and they're moving faster. Like they're in a dead run, and we're kind of shuffling along in taking baby steps.
So the question, what will it take to improve cybersecurity in our country? Many fear the catalyst for change will come from a significant disaster or a catastrophic loss. Experts believe it may take one of those before we will accept the cost and loss of convenience that real cybersecurity requires. Now, our week investigating disaster preparedness continues tomorrow night at 11 as we investigate California's levee system. It's 13,000 miles of dirt mounds that produce our clean drinking water. But can it withstand a big earthquake? That's tomorrow night. Raj?
Okay, thank you, Tony. If you have a tip for Tony Kovaleski or anyone else in our investigative unit, we urge you to give us a call. The number's on your screen, 888-996-TIPS, or you can send us an email directly to the unit at nbcbayarea.com.